And of course, we could say from a spiritual point of view, we bring the spiritual perspective into this situation. We say, well, what's going on here? What about the soul? We've talked about instinct and mind so far, but what about the soul? And what I would suggest to you is the soul feels completely dominated by these experiences, quite intimidated by these experiences. It might be confused, it might be lost, it certainly would be very sad. And so somewhere in these dream images, those feelings will be present. The deeper you probe into the imagery of the dream, the deeper the feelings you get, gradually you get to those more fundamental soul feelings of sadness, of feeling lost, of feeling this purposelessness to life. In other words, what we do is that which our soul longs for, like peace, security, love, truth, we project out onto the world around us. So we think that money provides security. We think that success provides us with a sense of self-worth. We think that when people actually are kind to us, loving to us, that that's the source of love. And we think that when we have discovered worldly knowledge, that we've discovered the truth. Because all this is, of course, an illusion. What it is, we're projecting the desires for these things onto worldly situations, onto people, onto institutions, onto books of knowledge, onto commodities, like beautiful motor cars, houses. We project them onto money, we project them onto positions of power and influence. But deep inside, actually, somewhere deep inside, we don't really believe that. And as I say, that's what begins to show itself at a certain point in one's process of awakening. It begins to show itself in the dream. It begins to question things. Begins to give you little hints and images that come up that sort of seem to throw out the old order of things. And what's happening is there's a stirring taking place in one's consciousness, and the energies wanting to move upwards to the higher centers, the heart, the throat, the third eye, crown. So at this point, then the imagery begins to change. There's a sudden switch over where the imagery that comes to you begins to change to images that are not so concrete. They're not man-made. They're not so artificial, which comes from the mind. They're more natural images. So one starts to see images of landscapes, country landscapes, or beautiful gardens. One notices that the imagery opens up. In other words, you're not dreaming of being in a little office or in a little room or stuck in a place. You're dreaming of bigger houses, bigger buildings, going outside into the open air. The perspective is widening, broadening, deepening. And one begins to get very, very different feelings that are present in the dream. Feelings that are more subtle, and feelings that are more nostalgic. In other words, one's beginning to get in touch with something that you're remembering that you had forgotten. In other words, about who you are and where you came from.